Oh boy. This meeting hasn't even started and it's already going downhill.
I feel like I'm not even allowed to talk.
Well, I'm hold on, let me oh, something just broke. Let me fix it. There, you're muted. That fixes it. Um, all right, fine, Jeff. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, so now I can talk. Okay, all right, that was it.
Clay.
Hey, what's up, girl?
Are you able to see me?
No, you have your camera off. I can see a beautiful picture of your family.
Oh, okay, that's all you get.
It looks to be about 13 years old, I think.
Well, that's what good realtors do is they have you have to have a 20-year-old photo to represent yourself. You can't have something, you know.
Mine has my headshot has hair like big afro hair.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. No, you can, yeah, please turn your camera on. Let's see that beautiful face.
All right, how do I? Let's see.
Bottom left-hand corner, you should see two. There's a microphone
Okay.
and then
You
like a
cannot
little,
start. It says I can't because your host disabled it. That you
oh,
didn't
I
even.
did? Hold on. Let me look here. Okay. Try again.
Okay.
Maybe if you had an iPhone.
Oh, I think there we go.
Oh, man.
Oh man.
That's even better than the
Side angle.
look at that.
Oh,
Oh,
you
look at that.
just be lucky that
No,
there's
I
other
feel
people on
lucky.
this.
I do.
That would
Uh,
be.
are you joining from your phone?
Yeah, you know, we are this is why I'm here actually. I'm so bad with technology in a way, just know enough to get me in trouble, but um I need to hook something up to the office computer. So what I've got is my phone hooked up to our TV in the office. It's just me right now, but I think another guy might join us from the
Cool.
office. Is that okay?
Oh no, totally. Please, the more the
All right.
merrier, for real. Whatever. This is the second one that I've done, and it's like kind of like throwing a party. You're a little nervous, nobody's going to show up. So I'm stoked that you guys are participating.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I'm grateful that you're doing this, man. I've always enjoyed spending time with you and picking your brain. You've got a big old brain, and that's the main reason why I'm here.
It burned all my hair off.
That's how I knew you were smart. Uh,
Just one day I was thinking of things and then just it all went away.
uh, um, yeah. So, how long you been doing this? What inspired this?
It's a good question. I by this meaning like kind of creating content and then starting to do these like webinars and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
I've been doing that for maybe 6 months or so. Like I said, it's only my second demo or webinar or whatever. What's up, Cardwell?
It's all good, Clay. How's it going with you today?
It's going good. It's going good.
Good, good.
We are on here with my friend Jeff Williams, and we were just catching up on kind of where this all came from. And so part of that, Cardwell, you're an appraiser, right?
Appraiser, a realtor. Yeah, I guess we could stop there. Appraiser and a
Well, I'm
realtor.
sure the list goes on and on. But so Cardwell and I are both members of this AI for Entrepreneurs group on Facebook. Hey, Lisa.
Okay.
And
Hey,
and so
Clay.
what's up, girl?
What's up?
So happy to see you.
Ready for some learning?
Oh no, we're just hanging out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I like to bait and switch people. Say, hey, come in here to learn something. And I'm actually going to pitch you on my multi-level marketing scheme that I'm a part of.
Oh, that's what I figured.
Yep. So I'm going to start. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start just throwing the mute on for now. I'm going to give it a few more minutes. Now, feel free. You can always in the chat throw stuff in, and then, as we go through this, I'll stop and we'll have some Q&A, and then we'll have plenty of opportunity at the end to talk through stuff. But I'm really excited for everybody to be here. So what we're going to talk about today are some of Google's, excuse me, AI tools. And until recently, Google's kind of been, I would almost say, if not in last place, close to the back of the pack in terms of the capability of their tools. And in the last few weeks, they've really upped their game and released some really, really cool stuff that I think, I think can be helpful. A lot of us I know are in real estate, but just in general. But today I'm going to kind of walk through some of the ways that I've used these tools to enhance my business or real estate, how I could have applied it to certain stuff that I had going on. And then I'd love to talk through, any sort of use cases that you guys might have or any other questions or whatever. But I would like to just give a few minutes for people to come on. It would be cool, and Cardwell already got it started. If people want to throw in the chat where they're coming from, we got a lot of our peeps in here from Central Florida. And then Cardwell's with us from New Jersey. Eric, where are you located?
I'm in Ocala right now with Bart Blessing's office.
Awesome. Well, it's nice to meet you. Good to see you this morning.
Nice to
Thanks
meet you.
for joining.
Yeah.
What is your role at the office?
I'm one of the managers here. Alongside me and Kristen West. She's hopping on right now. She's slacking.
Okay. See, that's why we got to wait a few minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for inviting. It's great.
Yeah.
I can't wait to learn something.
Well, don't put that kind of pressure on me. Yeah, I think it'll be fun. I mean, I do think that hopefully people will walk away with some new ideas on how to utilize AI. And one of the things that'll be kind of a theme as we go through today is I'm going to demonstrate like ways that you can utilize the AI tools. But what you're going to see is that AI is not going to replace you anytime soon. And you can't expect it to replace, your work. What AI really does is it enhances what you are already doing and it enhances your knowledge. It's interesting. I had shared sort of as we were getting started that, a lot of what I've learned in AI has come through this Facebook group that I'm a part of. I would encourage all of you to join. It's called AI Prompts for Entrepreneurs. And what's interesting though is, you think of when new technology comes out, that it's maybe directed at younger folks, or maybe they'll be it'll benefit them more. The average age of our group is 50 something years old. And I think the reason that is because AI really strengthens or enhances the knowledge and wisdom you have. It doesn't replace it. It gives more access to knowledge, but it can't replace your kind of wisdom and experience, and it just enhances that. So, what we're going to do today is I'm going to talk a little bit about the tools and then jump in and do a demo of each tool. And then at the end, and throughout each tool, we'll do a Q&A for that specific tool. But then, and then at the end, we'll do a Q&A. And there's a couple of things that if we have enough time, I just want to throw in as sort of extra, just being extra myself. I'm going to throw in some little extra fun stuff that has come out in the last little bit. So let's go ahead and get started. And y'all have to forgive me if I seem like I'm distracted a little bit. I am trying to keep an eye on the waiting room. So this is the second one of these that I've done. And unfortunately, the last time I did this, I lost some people because they sat in the waiting room for like 20 minutes. So my bad. I'm keeping a closer eye on that. So what we're talking about today is Google's tools. So if you're a Google Workspace user, these tools are included as a part of your Workspace membership. But even if you just have like a Gmail or obtain a Gmail, they have free options or free, usage. It's a little more robust under a paid plan, but you should be able to do the things that I'm demonstrating today on the free plans. Specifically, what we're going to talk about is Gemini's deep research, Notebook LM, and then Gemini more broadly speaking. And like I said, I'm going to get into each of these. So with Gemini's deep research, we're going to start there. And as I shared, I know a lot of us are coming from a real estate background. And so that's going to be kind of the focus of my demonstrations. But hopefully those of you not in real estate can also see how this could apply in your business. With Gemini deep research, what I want you to think about is like when you first get a property or you're, looking at a neighborhood, deep research is a great tool to find out information about that. I mean, again, it's way broader than that. You can use it for a lot of things, but in our demo today, that's what we're going to use it for. What's really cool about deep research is it takes your question and sort of breaks it down into just like you would. It's kind of like how it kind of thinks in the manner similar to how you might think as you're approaching something. It takes a complex question and then breaks it down into like step by step what it's going to do next. It then takes the results and creates a polished report, and it can do some really cool stuff. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to jump into our first demo here, and that's of deep research. I'm going to show you how to get to it and all that good stuff. So let me share my screen. So let me start, let's say you just, you're in your Gmail or whatever. Well, the way, your workspace is organized is you have these different options in here to get to your tools in Workspace. And at the bottom, actually, they've moved it up a little bit. Right here, you have Gemini, and you can click here to get to Gemini, to their AI tool. You can also, it being a Google product, very easily, simply Google and get to Gemini. What you'll see when you're on the Gemini screen here, can everybody see my screen okay? All right, perfect, awesome. In the upper left-hand corner, is where you select the model that you want to use. And I know that, we all have varying degrees of tech familiarity. This is all very, very accessible, meaning you do not have to know a whole heck of a lot about anything technical. You have to be able to click buttons and type on a keyboard. So I'm going to take this, and it's already on deep research. Normally when you come in, it'd be on Flash, but you want to just say, and what I want to demonstrate is the difference between a normal search and a deep research search. So I have a prompt that I saved to use in this demonstration. And just for those of you who are kind of just dipping your toe into AI, a prompt are the directions that you give to an AI tool. So if you've worked in ChatGPT and said to ChatGPT, anything, how do I, get into Notebook LM? That's a prompt. And AI is really similar to working with a human being. The better instructions you give to the AI, the better output you'll receive. So your input to the AI is going to be your prompt. So if you develop prompts that are a little more robust, you get better information back from the tool. Where I'm going with this is you may develop a prompt and say, wow, this is good. I don't want to recreate it every time. And you can build what people refer to as a prompt library, which is just effectively a document where you save the prompts to reuse them from time to time. I'll show you an example. So in this case, I want to do research on a neighborhood. I have a property in Spruce Creek, which is a neighborhood here in Ocala. And so I'm going to grab this prompt and I'm going to copy it over. There's nothing to see here, folks. So I'm just copying this over from a Google Doc. You'll see it when I copy it in now. So I've copied in this prompt where it says, research the housing market trends in, and then in brackets, it just says subject, property, neighborhood, and city. Over the past 5 years, including price changes, inventory levels, average days on market, and buyer demographics, how new development has impacted the area. So I'm going to put in here Spruce Creek in Ocala, Florida. And what I learned when I was running this, testing it out before we got on this call, was that I needed to say Ocala, Florida, because there's other Spruce Creeks. And I'm going to go one step further and say, don't include info that is outside of Ocala, Florida. Okay, now, this is not in deep research. This is where I want to demonstrate the difference between the two. This is just in the regular, this is similar to like if you were just going to regular ChatGPT. And I hit search, and in pretty short order, it's going to come up with some results. Oh, that's interesting. It switched to deep research. So let me bring up ChatGPT. That's pretty cool. It kind of sensed that I was asking a deeper question. What I like about that is even though I spend a lot of time in AI, I get confused sometimes about which model I should be using. So I love it that it helps us out there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this same prompt into ChatGPT. I wonder if it'll do the same thing. Let me just say, tell me what, type in, tell me what you know about, let me hit. So now it's searching a little, but look, in about 2 seconds, it starts giving me information. This is probably pretty good information, but what I'm going to show you with deep research is that it takes time, but it also digs. Like you can see it set up here that it searched like 4 or 5 sites. See, it says its sources or maybe a handful of websites. When I put this same prompt into deep research, and I'm going to switch this just to be sure here that we're in deep research. And so just as a reminder, I put in the prompt asking it to research the housing market in this specific, hard word to say, neighborhood. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit submit. And so rather than going ahead and immediately giving me results, it's putting together a research plan. And it's telling me that it's going to research the housing trends in Spruce Creek. It's going to analyze its results, and then it's going to create a report that'll be ready in a few minutes. And I love this. So when I hit start research, I can watch it work. And it says here, it's showing its thinking. So it says, I've started looking into the housing market over the last 5 years. My initial searches are focused on getting a general understanding of the trends. Then it says, now I will focus my research specifically on Spruce Creek. And rather than looking at 4 or 5 websites, you can see over here in the left-hand corner, it says researching 64 websites. Now it's saying I'm looking at the market conditions in Ocala. Now I'm looking at trends in the county. Now I'm focused on Spruce Creek. Now I'm refining my search. I mean, it's so neat to be able to see how it's like taking that search through all these different steps. Now it's searching 64 websites and it's still working. I'm going to go ahead and let this work, but I'm going to show you, I did this before we got on the call because I knew it would take some time. I'm going to go ahead and show you the results that I got from a previous search. Oh, it's up here. Research plan. Well, I lost it. What was this? So here are the results of our search. And it's a pretty exhaustive document that demonstrates to us, and I forgot to be watching the waiting room. I hope we didn't lose anybody. So it gives us a really, really exhaustive research document on this neighborhood. And it'll do this on any topic. So for example, when someone might say be preparing for a presentation on Google AI tools, someone might run a report like this to help support that research. And you can see at the bottom, all of these websites were used in the report. And you can see that it looked at a number of other websites and decided that this information wasn't pertinent. And then you can even come down here and see its thought process. So this goes way beyond a Google search. It goes way beyond like just a simple ChatGPT search. And it gives you a lot of great detail. So what I would do with this, and just being totally transparent and frank, I probably wouldn't read all this. We're going to use it in our next step. But one super cool feature in Google Deep Research is this Generate Audio Overview button. So I can click on this and it's going to generate, it'll take it a minute. It's going to generate for us an audio overview. Let's see what's happening over here. And so, yeah, so this came up with the same kind of documentation. But while it's generating the audio overview, I'll start into what I would be doing with this in our next step. With this being connected to Google, if you're a Google user like I am, I use Google extensively. This really easily allows you to export this into Google Docs. So now you've got that report available to you so that you can either share it with someone else, or like I said, in what we're going to do next, we're going to use this information. But I'm like I said, I'm not going to read through all this. But what was my point? Oh, my point being, I'm not going to read through all of it, but let's say I was headed to my listing appointment and I wanted to go in there making sure I sounded like I knew what I was talking about. This audio overview, like I did this last night, again, in preparation for this meeting, and I listened to made a 6-minute audio overview of this document that I listened to on my way home. I thought to myself, man, that would be amazing if like I'm heading to a new neighborhood. I did this on another neighborhood here in town that I'm less familiar with, and was able to, learn a great deal about the neighborhood in that 5 minutes that I was listening to the document, or I'm sorry, listening to the overview. So like I said, there's other use cases for this. I'm trying to give it a chance here to finish this audio overview. Why don't we do this? While it's generating that, let's take a pause here and see what questions anybody has or any commentary or thoughts on different use cases for deep research. Go ahead, Cardwell. You can unmute yourself. I appreciate you raising your hand, but we don't have the volume that Jonathan typically has on his deals. But please go for it.
Okay, well, already I see that Google is really doing this audio overview thing. I really got into it and enjoyed it so much when I started exploring Notebook LM.
Yep.
And the fact that it can put that podcast together. Now, if they're going to be doing this with everything that they're putting out from now on, I may start going to this the Google products more. I am surprised that Google is your go-to as opposed to Chat or Claude.
Well, to be frank, it's still not my go-to. It's definitely the deep research is. So just while we're on that subject, there are a number of different tools that offer deep research options. Chat has a deep research tool. Perplexity has a deep research tool.
Yes.
And the reason that Google's my go-to on deep research is that chats, even for paid users, and I'm on the $25 a month team plan, you only get 10 instances of deep research. So that's why, and then the reason I don't use Perplexity, their deep research is I just don't find it to be as robust as what you get out of Google or Chat.
I agree.
So with Google being, I haven't found a limit to its deep research. That's why it's become my go-to on deep research. But it's hard to in my mind, replace Chat as sort of that base AI that you go to.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate it. So our audio overview is ready, but before I play it, did anyone else have any comments or questions? All right, let's see what we came up with here. And I do want, you gotta let me know if you can hear it as I play it. Let's see. Stacy, welcome. I see you're here. You're in the Pacific Northwest, so welcome. All right, we're gonna hit play.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a really focused look at the housing market in Spruce Creek, specifically Marion County, Florida. We're covering roughly 2020.
Can you give me a thumbs up? Can you hear it?
Just to be clear up front, there are a few places called Spruce Creek. We're zeroing in on the ones in Marion County, mostly the 55+ community.
Exactly, like Spruce Creek North in Ocala and Spruce Creek Preserve, which is near Dunellen.
Right, and our goal today is really to understand the specific trends there. We'll be looking at price shifts, inventory levels, how many homes are for sale, and
it's crazy. It blows my mind. When I did this last night.
In Spruce Creek itself, maybe let's set.
So I'm gonna fast forward a little.
Just jumps in late 2024. The median sale price for townhouse condos countywide was up almost 25% year over year in November 24, hitting $200,000. Then in December 24, it was up nearly 30%.
Got it. Now, the really crucial factor for sellers and buyers, how long did it take to sell?
So it's not just reading you what it came up with, but it's providing insights and analysis. It's unbelievable. One of the things that, a great use case for deep research, and I've used this quite a bit for my content creation. So for example, like I did a blog post on, kind of a recap of the 2008 housing market crisis. Because, I feel like we're starting to hear people, oh, is that where we're headed? And, I think, but that's a longer conversation, but I was able to use deep research to research a lot of the information that I needed for the article and then utilize other tools to help me write it. But the idea that you can put this together and then create an audio overview to listen to, because we're all busy, you're not sitting around with a bunch of time on your hands. It's a great way to leverage this information. So I'm going to move now from deep research to the next tool, which Cardwell mentioned, and that's Notebook LM. And so here, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a minute. Oh, I got something in here. Let's see. Just let me stop sharing. Hold on. I'm going about this the wrong way. There we go. Stop the share. There we go. So now we're going to move to Notebook LM. And Notebook LM, you can think of sort of a knowledge partner where you can take things that you learn or take things that you're interested in and feed it into Notebook LM. It probably would help. I'll go ahead and go back to my screen share because it'll probably help me to give you a visual of it. So let me go back to here, 3, and then. So here's Notebook LM. And before I get into like the specific case that we're going to use it for today, which is to compile information on our subject property, I want to show you a couple of things that, you know, what I use it for and a lot of other people use it for, and that is to take things that I'm interested in learning more about and compiling sources to then generate, you know, more summary type information. So let's see. Okay, so for example, I read a really, really great series of books that I would highly recommend to everyone on the call. And that is, it's a series of books by Russell Brunson called Expert Secrets, Traffic Secrets, and .com Secrets. But when I got done reading the books, you know, one of the things that I love to read, and I'll pick up little nuggets of knowledge from every book, but there's so much more to get out of them. But I just get so like, oh, I want to move forward. And what I found is AI can be a great tool to help you increase your implementation of this knowledge. And so what I did was I took and I found, you know, when you get the audiobooks, he gives you PDFs, which are basically the full audiobooks. So you can see that I've added over here, add source. I added these 4 PDFs. And I actually added the Millionaire Real Estate Agent to this to kind of enhance it from a real estate standpoint. So that's Gary Keller's book. That's, you know, so amazing. So now I can come in and I can say, in the Secrets trilogy, the author discusses a concept called the Dream 100. Whoops. Can you summarize this for me so I can better understand? And so now what it's doing is it's going through those PDFs and it's kind of compiling that information. And now it gives me, here's what the Dream 100 is a core concept. It centers on the idea that your dream customers are already congregated in specific online communities. And then it gives me a breakdown of all the information that was in the books. So one of the great things about Notebook LM is it'll take this information and summarize it for you. Another great feature within Notebook LM is it can do it for a ton of different content types. So for example, one of my coaching clients uses Follow Up Boss. And so, you know, we wanted to optimize his Follow Up Boss. So I went on to YouTube and they have like 70 YouTube videos for implementing Follow Up Boss. I see you smiling, Lisa. I see you smiling, okay? It's an inside joke that well, it's very funny, but you have to be on the inside. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, Lisa. Okay, so this is all of the training videos from Follow Up Boss. So I just literally, when you go in, you have the option to add source, you can copy in a link from YouTube, and then it will summarize the information in the YouTube videos. So, you know, so like it gives me an example question. How can agents effectively utilize Follow Up Boss to enhance their daily workflows? So I'm just going to click on that. And so it's going through 70 YouTube videos. I don't have time to watch 70 YouTube. Well, if they're about something like, I don't know, you know, great Will Ferrell, you know, movies, I'd watch that. But like work stuff, bleh. So this goes through and it summarizes it for me. And in the same manner that we just did with deep research, we can generate a deep dive conversation, and it's going to be very similar where it's like almost a podcast format. So as you know, Cardwell was saying how great this is, it's really amazing that it generates this. Now, you could use this in your content. you could take this podcast and say, hey, this is something I created based on, like as a realtor, you want to have topics like, the 5 things first-time home buyers should avoid. And, this is your way to get your property prepared for showings. You could create a notebook that has sort of your content in it, and then meaning like maybe you have content you shared with people in the past, you upload it to Notebook LM and ask it to repurpose it for you. It's a great resource for that. Or you create a podcast that you share. One of the limitations with the podcast is that it has the same 2 voices all the time. But the thing is your audience probably isn't being hit up with this in the manner that people that are kind of engaged in AI on a day-to-day basis would be. Now, I'm going to go ahead and jump into how we're going to use this today, which is, again, we're going to go back to the idea that we have this new listing opportunity in Spruce Creek. And I'm going to start adding sources to the file. And so I am going to go into this folder that I've put together. And just like you probably do when you have a new opportunity for a listing, I went ahead and I pulled, I went and looked in the MLS and got the last 2 times it was listed. I pulled the property appraiser card. I pulled a realist report, which just is like a public record search. And then I got 3 comps. I'm going to add these to Notebook LM. And all I did, I'm highlighting all of them and I'm hitting open. And so you can see in the left-hand corner here, it's letting me know, okay, that I've got, this information. There was one other piece of info that I need to add here. And let me see, where did I save it? Choose file upload. Did I save it? Okay, I saved it as a document that this thing doesn't like. It wants it to be in PDF, text, but it does not like .doc files. So let me briefly jump into where I had that. There it is. Perfect. I'm going to download that as a PDF, and then I'm going to download the document that we created out of Deep Research as a PDF. And I want to add these 2 into our sources. So let me. Yes, I know you're very upset. All right, downloads. And no, downloads. There we go. All right, so I'm adding those into our resources. So now what I'm going to ask it to do is help me create a CMA, or a comparative market analysis, for this property. And our subject property is, our subject property is 11204 Southwest 63rd Terrace. Please create a comparative market analysis for this property. And so it's going to think for a second. And just to recap what I've uploaded to it, I gave it this right here. This is the document that we created in Deep Research. And then I added some comps. I added the appraiser's card, listings, and now it's telling me it can't answer this question. So this demo is going swimmingly. Let's try this in a different manner. I am headed to a listing appointment with a potential seller client that owns the subject property. With me, a break.
I'm wondering if you give it a role.
Say that again. Oh, tell her what it is.
Should you give it a role first? Because I was surprised you were saying we'll create a comparative market analysis. Who in the hell knows what that is other than people in real estate?
It's a good point. So what Cardwell is referring to is improving the prompt by telling the AI engine what function I want it to be filling. And that's like, I would say just in general, make a note that when you are using any AI engine, it doesn't matter what engine it is, it can be a really good exercise to tell it, I want you to act as an expert in real estate, or I want you to act as an expert appraiser, or I want you to act as an interior designer. And it just helps create additional context for the AI tool. So let me tell it, I want you to act as an experienced real estate market analyst. Any other info that would be useful in this presentation? Let's see if it feels like playing nice now. At least this time it's putting some thought into its response. So now it's giving us some information on the property. A lot of this information we'd see in our stuff here. Giving us information on the community, which is helpful for our presentation. The flood zone it's located in, its sales history, and then it's giving us some analysis of the comps that we provided. Giving us our Spruce Creek trends that we could include with our information that we're going to discuss with our seller. And gives us some talking points for our presentation. Now, the fact is that this property is listed for sale, so it gave it a little bit of a leg up because it can tell us what the price is. Let me see if it would weigh in on what are your thoughts on the current list price. So seems the price is within a reasonable range. Of course, the first thing it notes is that it's pending. Talks about the upgrades, compares it to the other comps. And it says the subject property is more comprehensive and recent upgrades could justify a higher price. And so in conclusion, while a detailed appraisal, which Cardwell as an appraiser would agree with, would be the most accurate way to determine the precise market value, the list price for the fully renovated appears to be, as evidenced by its current pending status, to be reasonable. So with that, and let me jump back over to, let me see if I can get back to where we were trying to create our, where did I, I was doing that in follow-up boss, right? So let's see here. Okay, so now follow-up boss, here is the interactive 26-minute interactive, basically podcast
Welcome back,
format
everybody,
that it created.
to the deep dive. Today, we are diving into something that I think a lot of you probably already use.
It's crazy.
We're going to be talking about follow-up boss.
Ooh, yeah.
And, I'm sure
he's
you're
excited.
Follow-up boss, but we wanted to do a deep dive and look into some of their training materials, see if we could pull out some good nuggets of information to really.
So like to me, when I see this and I see it's 26 minutes long, I think that is perfect for me to listen to in my car ride from the office to the house or walking my dog around the neighborhood or something like that. I'm all like, one of the things that like I know all of us are kind of in this boat of wanting to find how do we get the most out of our time. It's things like this, I feel like, that we can put together, habit stacking to reference Atomic Habits, that, can help us leverage more of our time. So that's really everything. Well, I'll check my little handy dandy notes, but I believe that was everything I wanted to look at in Notebook LM. So before I move on to just general usage of Gemini, does anybody have any questions or comments as it relates to Notebook LM? Well, like I said, we're going to have question and answer at the end as well. So, I'll go ahead and, oh, yes, sir, Cardwell.
You're not going to mention the interactive mode? I think that's one of the coolest things.
I haven't messed with it. So you're talking about in here with the podcast, we can do it right now. We'll do it
Yeah,
live.
yeah, because you can jump into the podcast and interact with them, and it's so cool.
So we're gonna do that right now. If this blows up in my face, Cardwell, I
It's
blame
on
you.
you. It won't be the first time.
Oh, so you've been on my prior web.
Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. Today, we are diving into something that I think a lot of you probably already use. We're going to be talking about Follow-Up Boss.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I'm sure you've at least heard of Follow-Up Boss, but...
Hey there. Want to share your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious, like I'd like to take a look at and start with smart actions in Follow-Up Boss. Like how can we utilize those in our workday?
That's a fantastic question. You were actually just about to dive into action plans and automations, which work in.
Exactly. Smart actions, or what Follow-Up Boss called action plans and automation, are really key to streamlining your day.
Think of action plans as preset lists of things you want to happen when certain conditions are met.
And automation. Oh, yeah.
So I mostly work with first-time home buyers. Like what kind of drip campaigns would I use in Follow-Up Boss?
That's a really specific and important question.
Absolutely, especially when you're guiding first-time buyers.
Based on some of the Follow-Up Boss training we looked at, a key is providing value.
Right. For first-time buyers, they often need a lot of education.
So your drip campaigns could include helpful resources.
Think about emails or even text messages that explain the buying process.
So thank you very much, Cardwell, for encouraging me to jump into that. That is really freaking unbelievable. And I feel like
I thought you muted it.
I think I unmuted. Can Carwell run the rest of this podcast?
yeah, this is why I almost made this is why I didn't want you on here. Megan, next time, if you guys want to join, do.
I think we all agree. Come on.
No, this isn't a democracy, Jeff. You can't rally the participants against me. But seriously, how cool is that? That you can sit there and ask it questions. And one thing that's always fun about working with AI, so my wife gives me a hard time and says that she thinks the reason I spend so much time with AI is because it's so supportive in its responses. You know, like I'll ask a question, it's like, gee, Clay, that's the greatest question any person's ever asked of all time. And so you do have to be a little cautious at times just to make sure that if you're looking for validation, that you ask the question in the right way and not like, hey, do you think this is a good idea? But maybe approach it from the, tell me what risks exist in this approach or something of that nature. But yeah, Cardwell, thank you for that. That was really cool. So now I want to jump into how we might kind of bring everything together in Gemini. And so again, I'm going to stop sharing just for a second here. And so what I'm going to talk about real quick is just, so Gemini is like your digital co-pilot. It's Google's like core AI assistant. So like if you're familiar with ChatGPT, Google Gemini, like just broadly is, you know, kind of similar to the whole idea of ChatGPT. So, you know, the things that I think a lot of us use AI for, content creation, Gemini can help with that. Communication with your clients in terms of how best to say certain things. One of the things that I like to use AI in general for is, you know, when I'm starting to create my automated communications, like something that might be in a drip campaign or in our production system has automated emails, you know, I want to make sure those emails are really thoughtful. And so I go in and I tell it what I'm trying to say, what I want the person to learn through the email. And it does a great job of helping create really nice sounding emails. Another thing that I love to use AI for is help me draft our policy procedure type process documents. You know, and in fact, that was what our last webinar was on, was in generating that. Those are some of the things that I like using it for. And so I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate real quick how that might look with our subject property that we're working on. And then briefly, we do have a couple questions in the chat that I want to answer real quick before I forget to do so. And Stacy asked, where do I keep my prompts? Is it in a Google Doc or Sheet? Generally speaking, a Google Doc. I'm not great about it. Sometimes I have to remember, like I'll think to myself, wait, what was that prompt I used? And then I'll go find the old chat. It'd be much more efficient if I was on top of it with a Google Doc or Google Sheet. But generally, I'll keep it in the Google Doc. And then what I used for the audio overview is it's available in both Notebook LM and Deep Research. And when we get to the end, I'll go back through and just sort of show you where those live. And then Maribel, Notebook LM is a part of Google as well. So it's a Google workspace, or it's a Google tool. It's available under free plans as well as under workspace plans. And so that catches us up on the questions. Now I'm going to jump into Gemini. I'll go back to sharing my screen. And yep, that's the right one. Share. Okay. And then I lost this. Okay. Once again, can everybody see my screen? It's probably still on the Notebook LM. So I'm just going to go back over to Gemini. And I'm going to move it from Deep Research up to Gemini 2.0 Flash. And as it says here, it's for everyday tasks. And so what I'm going to come in here with is I'm going to bring in my prompt. And in this case, my prompts are coming out of, and I'll just show you so for reference, just out, this is a meeting workflow that I created, and then my prompts are in these little gray boxes. And so we're going to go into this prompt here, and I'm going to copy and paste it into the prompt window. And it just says, create an engaging property description. And I'm just going to take out the 403 bedroom, 2 bathroom. I'm going to say, and the reason I'm taking that out is because I'm going to attach information that includes everything about the property, but we have created in these other steps. And I'm going to say, for the property at, and I can't remember my address. I think it's up at the top here. Yeah, here it is. I'm going to copy and paste that so that I don't mistype anything. Although I will say that AI can be very forgiving with your misspellings and things of that nature. And so I think I've kind of buzzed through this quickly previously, but in terms of attaching documents, again, this is a really powerful usage of multiple AI tools, Google included. Chat will do the same thing. So if you're ever looking at something, and like, for example, I'm going to pick on Jeff because it's so easy, you know, something complex that you don't understand, which Jeff, I understand is a frequent occurrence for you. All right, that was mean, but I'm just getting you back for trying to overthrow me and install Cardwell as the leader. But in all seriousness, you can take something complex, upload it to chat or to Google and say, hey, can you summarize this for me? Can you explain this to me? Can we dive into this? It can read PDFs. It can also read images or see images. So, you know, for example, and I know we've all been there, you walk into a house and you see some feature, you know, like some weird box that's attached to the wall that you have no clue what it's for. Take a picture of it, upload it to chat and say, hey, chat, what is this? It's amazing. Like I've used it. So for example, like when my Wi-Fi went down, I took a picture of my router and I said, can you help me troubleshoot this? And sure enough, it's like, try this, try that, try this. So it's amazing what it can do. It can read PDFs. It can look at pictures. It's all, so you can upload all kinds of different types of documents. So I'm going to upload the information that we've created so far. I'll go here and I'm going to go into my demo, and all I want is my list of upgrades. I like to give it the property details. It can search the web, but I've got the information. I'm going to give it to it. And then I'm going to add the that research document that we created out of deep research. Sorry, words can be really hard sometimes. All right, so let's see here. Where did it go? I'll just download it again. Did I miss anything? No. Okay. Just give me a minute and I'll have it. So I'm gonna go. All right, now I got that document. And I'm going to upload that document. And then what we're going to see here is how it's going to help us do a number of different things. I think I need to clean out my downloads because it takes a little while here for everything to become available. There we go. Okay. And let's go ahead and we'll not give it any more context. I'm going to go ahead and see what it comes up with. So again, our goal here is it's going to create this property description for us. Now, here's an area where I want to point out that AI isn't a replacement for you or your wisdom and knowledge. You're responsible for fair housing laws and things of that nature. Now, you can tell it, hey, I want you to keep in mind fair housing or your MLS rules. But I would encourage you whenever you're creating content that you might use in any forum, whether that's your MLS rules, or I know we have some folks from the insurance industry on here. I'm sure there are regulations that govern what you can publish or whatnot. Make sure you double check that when you create content or create anything with your AI assistants, that you want to double check it for those regulatory issues. Now, I would encourage you to create perhaps a document that includes those rules and upload that anytime you're creating and say, hey, I do want you to abide by these rules, but I would still double check it. So now it's given us a property description. And we could go in and tweak it. We might want to say, hey, we want to highlight some more stuff. One of the things about AI is that it's what I'm going to refer to as iterative, meaning you can work with it. It's not like, well, here's your result and that's all you get. No, you can say, this looks good, but our target market is likely going to be 55 plus active adults. Can you please? And see, I'm polite to AI. The rest of you rude people, when AI takes over, I'm going to be at the top because I'm nice. I say please and I say thank you. Okay, can you please rework this to appeal more to that demographic? Oh, see how supportive it is? Gosh, you're absolutely right. Thank you. And so now it's giving me an updated description that might appeal more. Yeah, enjoy Florida's beautiful weather year round. Okay, so now let's say we're happy with our output here. Now we can say to it, this looks great. Can you please create for me a social media content plan with all of the posts I will need to promote this new listing? And to Cardwell's point earlier, probably would have been a good idea for me to tell it, act as a social media content expert. That's not like a requirement, but it's just every little bit of additional detail. Again, you just got to think about as if you were going out to your assistant and saying, hey, I need you to do X, Y, or Z. The better information you give that human, the better output you're going to get. AI is the same. So now it's got my target audience, the platforms, content pillars, the schedule, and now it's got, telling me, taking a picture, and then here's a caption, and it's giving me the day by day, here's what you should do. So here is, a 27-day content calendar with all of the posts and whatnot I'm being encouraged to use. So now let's say, Great. I am going to be hosting an open house at the property. How can I promote this to drive the most traffic? And so now it's breaking out for me a multi-channel promotional strategy. It's telling me how I should promote my open house to drive more traffic. So as you can see, there's just endless possibilities of what direction you can take this. What I would encourage you to do is just, obviously you want to kind of absorb what we've talked about here, and then think about, like, what are some things you do beyond what I've just demonstrated of, okay, creating marketing plans or creating listing descriptions, but what are the things that you do day to day that, AI can help enhance or replace? I mean, there's a framework that I encourage people to engage in, and I didn't come up with it, so I don't want to try and take credit for it, but it's called eliminate, automate, delegate. So as an entrepreneur or small business owner, you want to evaluate the things you do to determine, is it something I can eliminate? And so examples of this are, and I know we've all been there, where we do things a certain way based on the tools we have available to us at the time, but maybe our tools have evolved and our process has not. So you want to look there and say, oh, I don't need to do this anymore. Another area for elimination that can be challenging for us as small business owners are those clients or lines of business that don't serve us in the manner we think they do, or aren't providing, so, and again, using a real estate context, we've all had those clients that, you work with them for 2 years. You're like, I can't let this client go because I know they're going to buy a house the next one I show them. But in your gut, oh, this just isn't worth it. Or lines of business where you're doing more work than you're making money for. I mean, we just had to do that in my title company, kind of take a different approach to how we do a certain thing because it wasn't serving us anymore. The next thing you want to do is anything that you're doing, you want to determine, is there an automation that could replace this for me? A lot of us have CRMs, customer relationship management databases that offer automated emailing. And maybe there's, steps in your process where your clients would really appreciate even not hearing, a customized, hey, Clay, I hope your kids and everybody, but they just want to know, hey, your earnest money deposit was received at the title company. Well, you could automate that communication. The way I heard somebody else say it, is they automate the ordinary so they can excel at the extraordinary. So you're automating those rote tasks that really don't require your expertise so that you can excel at those things that do require your expertise. And then the final thing is delegate. If you can't eliminate it and you can't automate it, if it's not the highest and best use of your time, it needs to be delegated. There's a book that I would recommend called Buy Back Your Time. And in the book, the author talks about setting your replacement rate, effectively looking at, what is either your, if you look at what you make in a year and divide that by, the number of hours in the year, that's kind of your replacement rate. But you want to think about not just where you're currently at, but where you want to get to. And you want to look at the tasks you're doing. And I have done this over and over again in my career as a small business owner. I think to myself, I could pay somebody $20 an hour to do this, but I could do it myself. And therefore I'm saving $20 an hour. While in truth, if my replacement rate is $200 an hour and I'm doing $20 an hour tasks, I'm costing myself and my business $180 an hour. So that's the idea of the eliminate, automate, delegate framework. So with all that said, that's, kind of the things that I had prepared to present. I do have a couple of little things I'd like to do at the end if anybody wants to stick around. But in terms of what we were going to cover today, that was it. So I would love if anybody has questions, comments, or wants to discuss use cases or anything, let's go ahead and do that now. Please feel free to just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question or provide your comment.
How do you think the deep research stacks up against Manus?
That's a big question. So Manus is a newer AI. It's called agentic AI, meaning it's not just acting as a model that gives you information, but it's actually can complete tasks and can really do some deep research. I mean, the stuff it comes up with is really unbelievable. And if anyone's interested in it, they're kind of beta testing it. It's called Manus. It's MANUS. You can sign up. You just go on and say, hey, I want to join, I want to have a Manus user account. And then you can go in and do things like I've had it create full business plans for clients or for myself. And when I say it creates a business plan, it goes so far beyond anything you could expect. It creates, a typical business plan, meaning like, okay, the business is going to do these tasks and its ideal client is this person. But it goes way beyond that. And it says, here are the tools that you'll want to apply, like the apps that you'll want to use in the system. Here's the workflow that you want to create. Here's your social media content calendar. Here's how you're going to advertise. It'll produce hundreds of pages of documentation. On top of that, it can create full-blown functional websites. So not like, here's the design idea, but literally, here is the website that you can then make live on another platform. For one of my clients, it made a bunch of tools, like meaning on the website, it was like, they work with investors. And so it was, an ROI calculator. There were all these different tools. And it wasn't like, here's an idea for a tool. It was, here is the functional tool for you to use. So to answer your question, Cardwell, I think Manus is kind of the gold standard of.
This is a reminder. Kegels, just let me know if this is done.
So, it is really, so I would put Manus at the top right now, but like I've signed up, so it's beta testing, but they just released like their paid. Yeah. And I've signed up for the $39 a month version, and I've used about half of my credits. And I did that in about 3 days. So it kind of goes back to the idea that in my mind, ChatGPT's deep research, I think is a little bit better than Google's deep research, but I only get 10 a month. So that's why I rely on Google Deep Research. And I would say the same thing for Manus. If I'm just doing like what we just did with, hey, tell me about this property, I'm just going to do that in Google Deep Research. But if I were like, hey, I'm thinking about investing in the Spruce Creek area, I'd probably go to Manus and ask for a full-blown evaluation. So that's how I would answer that question. But yeah, we could do a whole nother thing on Manus, although literally just sit back and watch it work. It's incredible. So what I was going to show you guys, so there's a tool in the Google ecosystem called Google AI Studio. And I meant to stop sharing my screen, but since I'm still sharing it, I'll go ahead and just go Google AI Studio. And it's a whole suite of tools, but the thing that I have gotten the most use out of, is what it calls streaming real time. So it has this option where you can share your screen and it will watch you and interact with you while you do something. And so like, for example, I've used it before to troubleshoot. Like I was working in a spreadsheet and I couldn't remember the formula. So I asked it to kind of observe. Or another thing that I've used it for was, again, Wi-Fi issues. It was helping me troubleshoot why I couldn't get one of my Wi-Fi deals to hook up. So you screen you want to share. So let's bring up like Google Sheets. I'm going to jump into my Google Sheets real quick and see if there's anything that we can ask it really fast. Here, I'll bring up my, this is just like a rental cash flow analysis that I probably borrowed from some website. And so I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna ask Google to say, and I'll move my the AI Studio off the screen so you can see what it's looking at versus what it's showing. I'm gonna say, so now I'm sharing my screen here with it. I'm gonna say, let me try one more time. That failed. I wonder if it's like a conflict. No, that worked. Okay, cool. So what I'm trying to do is I've got this rental property cash flow analysis. Can you see any ways that I might improve it?
Certainly. The user is working with a template for a real property cash flow analysis and is looking for ways to improve it. Is there a specific part of the analysis that you would like to focus on?
Yeah, do you feel like it captures the appropriate expenses for a typical rental property?
Okay, so the user wants to know if the template captures the appropriate expenses for a typical rental property. The monthly operating expenses section includes categories such as property management fees, repairs and maintenance, real estate taxes, rental
So
property.
it's reading this off the screen. Oh, I interrupted it. I'm so sorry I interrupted you.
He's
No
so
problem. Understandable. Ready to continue when you are. Did you want to go back to the monthly operating expenses or move on to a different section?
No, I want you, can you just tell me, is there anything missing that you would add to that section?
Okay, you'd like to know if there's anything missing from the monthly operating expenses section that should be added. Based on the visible categories, some common expenses that might be missing include landscaping or snow removal, depending on the property's location.
Snow
These
removal
potentially
is
add
very
potential
important
costs
here
if
in
the owner
Central
handles
Florida.
tenant sourcing. Would you like to discuss these or?
So I just wanted to show you kind of how that worked. But like I said, I've used it before for, I was working on something where I couldn't figure out why I couldn't connect things that were in my Wi-Fi network. And so it looked at the network and said, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Or like when I'm working in Excel or Google Sheets and I can't remember a formula, it's walked me through and it doesn't just say what the formula is, but it says, like it knows which cells it needs to reference and things like that. So to that again, and I hate to use what is a very overused term, but definitely like blew my mind. And then the other thing I was going to show you guys is, so ChatGPT has recently released this new image generator, and the stuff that you can do with it is crazy. But one of the things that I found that you can do with it is you can actually stage your, virtually stage your listings. So I'm going to say to it, act as an expert interior designer and virtual stager. I don't even know if that's a thing. Please stage virtual. Please stage the attached photograph to appeal to the most likely buyer, which is an active adult 55 plus. And so all I have to do here is grab out the image that I had downloaded, which is not that. Got click happy. And so here's the picture. So I know it's probably a little bit small, but hopefully you can see the picture of just the bare family room here. And so I'm going to just submit that. And it takes it a minute, but and just while it's thinking, you may have seen people post things like images of them as different cartoons or action figures. That's been the big thing people have been doing with it. there's some really, really cool stuff people have been generating with the image creator. But like for me, as I said, like when I'm writing articles or blog content, now I can come in here. Like yesterday, I did the one on the foreclosure crisis from 2008, and I asked it just to create me a cover image for it. And it created this really photorealistic kind of, it definitely captured the vibe of the old, when we were all schlepping around foreclosed houses. A really nice picture to accompany that. The other thing that you can do with this is, like, let's say that you're considering buying a house to flip, or you're working with an investor. You can take images of the house as it stands today and say, can we come up with some design ideas of how we can improve this property? Like I said, it just takes a little bit of a minute here. But what it comes up with it's pretty cool. And I could see now so I posted this in one of the AI groups that Cardwell and I are a part of. And one thing that another agent on there pointed out, just it's a little time consuming. So it may not be yet that you would replace whomever you use for your virtual staging. But at the same time, if you're just wanting to do 1 or 2 rooms, you can throw it in here and it'll put it together for you. I know for me, like when I look at houses that have like an odd space, I have trouble visualizing what you might do with it. I could see using this tool to come in and say, hey, what are some ideas of how someone might make the best use out of this space? And so now it's coming down and creating our image for us. Slowly but surely. I posted, like, it was a similar picture I posted in one of the groups, and a guy took it and reposted it. He swapped out all my furniture and put in 1970s furniture and said, maybe this would appeal better to your 55 plus audience. But yeah, so you can see now, is this the way I'd stage the room? Maybe not, but you can always, again, I see what it did. I was thinking it kind of stuffed things in here, but it actually looks pretty good. This does look a little bit dated, but as you can see, it did what we asked it to do. It staged it, but now we can come in and say, make it farmhouse style. And while that runs, and this is kind of the last thing here that I wanted to go over with you guys. I would like to mention, I think a lot of you are already in, but please, if you haven't already, I'd love it if you would join my Facebook group, which is called Unstuck. And it's for agents and realtors and small business owners that want to kind of know how to leverage AI in their business. But we also talk about general business ideas in there, optimizing your CRM, etc. Julie just asked, is this available in the $20 a month chat? It's actually available in the free chat. So it's available in all plans. Yeah, Cardwell, yeah, I promise. It's available in all plans, but it's limited in the free plan, and I don't know of a limit in the paid plans. I'm not saying it's unlimited. I don't know, and I've used it quite a bit. In fact, I use it for really important things like my daughter and I, we were watching Wicked last night, and we decided to turn our dog Rex into Elphaba. I wasn't sure if it would be more appropriate to have paws or hands, but and so anyways, that's sort of the fun you can have here with the AI imager. So it's still working through that. But yeah, so and then Julie, I didn't see your question on the scale of furniture. Do you want to retype or do you want to unmute and just go ahead and ask? Oh, I'm not multi-talented enough to be both in here and in Facebook at the same time. Do you mind restating the question? I love it. Chat was worried we wouldn't know what style of home this was, so it threw the word farmhouse in there. So thank you, chat. Yeah, so that's you can like again, going back to it being iterative, you can make changes as you go. So with that, that's it. Like I said, I'd love it if you guys would want to join that Facebook community if you're not already in there. When I send out the replay, I'll include a link to the community. Okay, so what Julie asked here, the space looks wonderful. Does it know the dimensions of the room to properly scale the furniture? It doesn't. I mean, or at least I haven't told it anything other than what you saw, which was I uploaded the picture and asked it to stage it. And I've done this on a number, like, and when I say a number, I don't mean 100, but maybe like 10. And generally I feel like it's looked pretty good. And Lisa said she just did one and it turned out great. So I think it does pretty well. But I had, like, one of the things I did, Julie, is I had asked it to stage a property and like it zoomed in. And so I said, like it zoomed into the photo and it kind of took out some of the elements and I didn't like that. So I just told it, I said, hey, you zoomed in here. Can you please correct that? Notice I said, please. But I said, can you correct that? And it did. It zoomed back out and the furniture still seemed to fit the space. So yeah, that's it. Does anybody have any other questions? And I see Stacy says, used it last night. We went furniture shopping for the kid who just moved out. Did you do that so that they would, so that you could replace what they're, redecorate their room? I know my kids were offended when I redecorated their rooms when they moved out. It's like, you've moved out. I am moving on. So anyways, yeah, no boomerang kids. That's right. So this has been really great. I'm so grateful for everybody joining. I love doing this, but it's also nerve-wracking because I definitely want everyone to leave with some degree of knowledge that maybe they can use going forward. So hopefully that's been the case for you. We'll be doing these, once a month, every couple weeks or something. There's so much new fun stuff that comes out on a regular basis. Want to continue to do this. It definitely helps reinforce what I'm learning to come on and try and show it to you guys. So, and then also, if there's anything you're interested in that you've heard about with AI that you want to dive more deeply into, please let me know. But otherwise, everybody have a great day and a great weekend. All right. We'll see you soon. Like I said, I'm going to post the replay in the Facebook group, but I'll also send an email to all the participants so that you have the replay. If you need anything specific, any of the prompts or anything like that, just let me know. I'm happy to share them with you. All right. Sounds great. See everybody later.